Hello everyone, and welcome to our Genetec Tech Talk webinar on getting more from 5.4, which is going to be about our new features in Security Center 5.4. My name is Derek Schaefer. I am a technical training e-content specialist with Genetec, and I'm going to be hosting the webinar for you today. We also have Hiba with us. She's from the GTAC. She's a technical support specialist, and she's going to be here to answer any questions that you may have during the webinar. And to ask Hiba a question, you can just type it in the questions box of your GoToWebinar console, and one of us will get back to you with an answer as soon as we can. Now, if there's any questions that we can't get to during the webinar time today, we'll get back to you with an email, and we're also going to take the most common questions and answers, anything that we feel would be beneficial for everybody to know, and we're going to post them on the GTAP forums. So from here, there is a section for the webinar today, and we're going to post the questions and answers. We're going to post the links to the videos after that, and a PDF version of the slide deck if that would be helpful for you as well. If you know anybody who could not attend today, we will have the video available probably tomorrow for this webinar. So that will be on the Genetec portal under the Technical Assistance section. So if you look under Training, you go under Training Videos, you will see that there's a GTAC Tech Talk webinar section here. And then you'll see the webinar from today listed, and you can either download a zipped version of a Windows media file, or you can view it from YouTube as well. Now, all the previous webinars from the other videos of the other webinars, have been posted on here as well. So if there's anything that you wanted to see that we presented in the past, you can find that here. And you can find it from our YouTube channel as well. So from YouTube, just type in Genetec Training and you'll get to our channel. And from here we have playlists and sections for our GTAC Tech Talk webinars. We have them divided up into a Security Center and Omnicast. And we also have them in a few different languages, so we do have a few Spanish and French ones in there too. This is of course accessible from either your browser, or you can get to it from a mobile device as well. Now, if you want to be notified anytime we add something to the Technical Assistance portal, you can just go into your account, go under Newsletters and Notifications here. And for the notifications, you'll need to have the frequency set to daily or weekly. And then you can pick the section that you want to be notified about underneath here. And of course, we also have our newsletter subscription if you want to adjust that here as well. And of course, don't forget to save your information when you're finished. For the YouTube channel, since we post everything on there, you can just subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll get an email notification when we add a video there. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the agenda for what we're going to go over today. A lot of these are smaller topics, so there's a lot of little things that have been added or tweaked or changed in 5.4. The two really big sections are on the new Plan Manager and on the new security features that we've put in place in Security Center 5.4. Now, these are really large chunks of information, and when looking at the webinar content, what we decided is that basically they could do with their own webinar. So what we're doing with these two is we're going to present Plan Manager in March, and we're going to do the new security features in April. So they'll each get their own 45-minute to an hour webinar, just because there is enough in there that I don't want to go over a few things and leave out others. So we're going to touch on the basics today just to show you what's changed and what's new there, and the basics of setting things up. But if you want to learn more about these two subjects, please feel free to sign up for the webinars in March and April. We'll have the invites going out for those about 2 weeks before the webinar itself. So you'll see that in your inbox. So we're also going to talk about the new installer assistant. There's been a change to the video configuration in the archiver for the basic configuration. We're going to talk about a few enhancements to audit and activity trails. We now support H265 encoding and decoding, otherwise known as HEVC. So we'll take a quick look at that. And then in the security desk, there's a video benchmark utility that I want to take a look at. Video prefetching and decoding, also a security desk feature. And there's a few alarm features that are pretty neat that I want to go over here as well. And then we're going to move on. There's a few smaller subjects here in terms of pinning hot actions. Take a look at, there's just a couple of synergist enhancements, but most of the enhancements are going into the software itself at this point. So there's just a couple there in the actual 5.4 core software. So there's not too much there, but we're going to go over a few things there. And then at the end, there's a couple of fixed sharp auto view tools that have been added as well. So we'll talk about that in the end. So let's jump right in. We're going to talk about the new installer assistant. Now, for anybody who's familiar with the Smart Vault line, like the SB32, this will look very familiar for you. Basically, the first time you start up your system, you're going to see this window come up here, and it's really a very fast and convenient way of getting your system up and running with the basics configured in a very easy setup wizard for you. So it's going to prompt you for the important information. You can see all the topics along here. And really, even if you're doing a larger system, this is a good head start on getting the system configured and getting the basics done. So just take a look at, we're not going to go over all of them because they're pretty straightforward, but just take a look at a couple of the major ones. Of course, the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to change the password for the admin account. This is, of course, a best practice that we try to push forward to everyone, and so the first thing it's going to do is ask you to change that, and of course you can't leave it blank, which is the usual default. Another section that it's going to ask you for is the basic recording settings. So if you know that every single camera on your system is going to be doing continuous recording or motion recording, you can just go in and set that from here, and that way your archivers will have that as a default, and you can just leave the cameras referring to the archiver, and everything's set up and ready to go. Another quick step here is if you want to add some users. So of course when you first log in, you'll just have the basic users like your admin account. If you have AutoView, there's a couple of basic ones set up there too. But you can go in and just and add a whole bunch of users right from the start here in case you want to get a few people in there, provisioning, adding cameras, things like that. So this is a very nice little tool. It's a more mature tool at this point since we have been using it on the Smart Vault systems, and it's been moved over and can be a great help for Security Center. Okay, so let's step into the new Plan Manager, and you'll note that I'm not using a version here because this basically has been redesigned from the ground up for Security Center 5.4. In Plan Manager 10.3 in the previous versions, it was a plugin. Now this is code that has been written into Security Center. It's solid, it's a lot faster, it's really great to use, but it has been rewritten, so it's not really along the same compatibility lines as 10.3, which we'll see in a bit. So basically the interface is a lot faster, it's a lot simpler, and we've even done a few things like we've decoupled the configurator from the viewer, which is really nice. From Plan Manager, of course, we can view and monitor any equipment that we have, and really the goal is to try to give you a tool that your operators can use standalone without having a whole bunch of windows open. You can just have Plan Manager open and you can monitor your site and everything in it right from here. So that was really the goal, and I think it's been achieved really well. So for instance, we can see in the scene we have our cameras with their field of views. We've got our people counting going on an area here, and anytime something happens in that area, you will see the people count adjusted and something pop up. And of course we have a new camera sequences here. There's been some changes to the way inputs and outputs have been displayed and are used. So it's really a nice new display, a new interface for it to really speed it up and really make it a lot more useful here. So I mentioned it is part of Security Center now, and that means that it does have its own role, and it's much more integrated, so we have a Map Manager role now. And if you remember the previous Plan Manager version, since it was a plugin, we did have to have a lot of different configuration tabs. And this, you can see now, we've reduced that down to 3. And in terms of resources, we're actually using the directory database now for the map information, and we're also caching the maps for fast access here as well. So there's not a lot to set up. The resources, you're just setting what server you want the role to be on. From here, we're saying any GIS map providers that we want to add to the system, and of course KML objects, we can put them in different layers here. And you'll note that the actual loading of the maps is not done from this section anymore, so that's done on a per map basis now. So you don't need to go through and preload all your images and stuff like that. Now, looking at the actual structure, we don't have the tree that we create within Plan Manager anymore. What we're actually using is the area entities as placeholders for the maps. So basically, anytime you look at an area, you're going to see that you have a way to associate a map to it now. And when you actually go and create a map, it's going to ask you which area you want to associate it with. So if you want to change your map structure, you're basically just going into your area view and you're changing the way the areas are represented in there to see where you want your maps to be displayed here. As well, we do have a few new area icons that we can use to represent the maps here. You can see that one's my personal favorite, and that can make things a lot clearer from your area view. I mentioned the configuration has been decoupled, and we now have a new map designer task. So this is where you do all your configuration. There's a whole new tool set you'll see here. It's a lot easier to use. For anybody familiar with any kind of editing software like PowerPoint or Photoshop or stuff like that, there's ways that you can arrange your objects and line them up and stuff like that. So there's some nice new editing tools. We've got some new objects here as well, some vector objects. We've taken alarms and macros and we've actually pulled those away from the entity itself, and those can be standalone objects on their own. And everything else you're pulling from the area view, so you're just accessing that right from here. So that's a really nice tool, and it means you don't have to spend your time in the security desk or have the risk of flipping over into edit mode when you don't want to and stuff like that. Now, looking at the actual map tasks, of course we can still use the monitoring task as we previously saw, but we do have a new task called Maps, and that's just for displaying your maps by themselves. So if you want to just go into Plan Manager and just use that for all your monitoring purposes, you can use the Maps task. It makes navigation very easy between your maps here. From the options up here, you can also choose to show the dashboard on the side. So if you do select a PTZ camera and you want to use the PTZ controls, you can just do that from here. And we also have a nice option if you have multiple monitors. You can say span map across all monitors. And that's going to show up something like this. This is a 2-monitor layout and I don't have the dashboard shown. But if you do have multiple monitors and you want to just view Plan Manager across all of them, it's very easy to do from here, and you can see that you can get a lot of real estate and a lot of viewing from here too. Now, in terms of the actual objects and what they do, there's been some changes there. So like I said, we've taken alarms and given them their own objects, so you can trigger an alarm from here. You can respond to alarms from the alarm object as well. From our actual camera objects, we can now show if it's recording. The field of view, now that the color is, it's not selectable, but it basically is going to represent whether it's a fixed or a PTZ camera based on the field of view color. And you'll also see you can turn on motion detection as well. So if there's motion on a camera, you get these cool little concentric green lines coming out of it to alert you that there is motion on that camera right from your map object there. Of course, I mentioned for the areas we've got the pop-up, but you also see that for your doors here. So we got a door forced open. It gave us our notification right here. Anything we want to do, we can do right from here. So that makes doing any of your access control navigation very easy. And in terms of outputs and inputs, we can view the input state, and we can also assign actions to our objects here. So if we had a state change to open a gate on this particular output, we could put the action right here. We could of course put the close to put the relay back into the normal state. So there's a lot that can be done right from the actual map itself. Now just a few more notes on this. Since this is completely redesigned, it is a lot faster, and you can see the objects are a little different. It does not have any compatibility with Plan Manager 10.3 at the moment. There's no migration tool or anything like that. So that's the only downfalls. You do have to recreate your maps. However, with 5.4, you can still run Plan Manager 10.3. So if you do have a very large map process going in your system, you can keep it on 10.3 and do the 5.4 upgrade, and that'll just work fine. There won't be any problems there. If you're not going to use the map manager role, you can deactivate that, and there won't be any system resources used by that. So it's 5.4 is still compatible with Plan Manager 10.3, so there's no threat to immediately go in and make the changeover. A couple of new things in terms of the objects and the way that we're representing things on the maps. We can actually use federated areas. So if you federate a system and you have an area there and it's associated, it's got a map associated with it, you can drag that into your tile and you can view it just like if you're on that local system. So that's something that's very nice. As well, something that's neat is if you have, you can actually just put that federated system right on the map, and then you can pull up the cameras and basically view them like a sequence. So instead of pulling up individual cameras, you can go through and you can view a particular one, or you can start to cycle between them. And that's a very nice little convenient thing as well to keep things grouped in one place too. I mentioned the directory database is being used for Plan Manager at the moment. So if you want to do any backups, you're just backing up the directory database. You can back up the cache folder as well. That will speed things along in case you need to restore it. If that cache folder is deleted, it just gets recreated from the database entries from the directory database. If you have a very large map, that might take a little while, so that's when you might want to put something in place to actually back up your cache folder. Or if you have a failover system, make sure that cache folder is accessible from any one of your directories that you're using for the failover purposes. As I mentioned, if you're using 10.3, just to deactivate the map manager role, and it won't be doing anything on your system there. Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the basics of the new security features. Now, this is the topic that can really balloon into a whole bunch of questions and answers and debates and things like that. And we're getting something really nice ready for April, and we're going to go over pretty much everything you'll need here. But I just want to give you a heads up on a few of the things that have been added. And this really, not all the security features are needed for everyone. It really depends on your system. I would discuss the changes with your sales engineer if you have any questions about it, or any doubts or any concerns whether you can use it on your system or not, just because there are a few things involved. So let's take a look first at one of the changes is the actual security protocol we're using. So at this point, we're using the TLS protocol. Previous versions of Security Center used SSL, or the Secure Sockets layer, to encrypt the data. But TLS is basically your next generation SSL. It's safer from any man-in-the-middle attacks where somebody might hijack any information and then send their own stream, and then the endpoint wouldn't actually know that anything had been changed. So TLS can make things a lot more secure from that standpoint. It uses both encryption to hide the data, and it also uses certificates to authenticate who the data is coming from, and that it hasn't been changed in any way as well. We're going to look at things like symmetric and asymmetric encryption a little bit more in April, but basically it uses asymmetric for the connection, and then symmetric, which is a little bit faster to continue the conversation from there. The TLS protocol, we're using that for basically the clients talking to the directory, and from any of the expansion servers to the directory server. So between servers and between clients, that's where we're going to be using TLS. We'll see where that's relevant in just a few minutes. Now, the way this is activated, you'll notice when you're installing the new system, you'll get a window that says Directory Authentication, and you're going to have an option here to allow only trusted connections. So by default, TLS is going to be used all the time unless you're connecting to a previous system, in which case it will fall back to SSL because the older systems don't know how to use TLS. But if you check this Allow Only Trusted Connections, this is where we're going to be using the certificates. This is where we're going to be verifying the information that goes back and forth, and this is really where we're going to prevent those man-in-the-middle attacks. So once you have that checked, if you have that enabled, when you try to connect with a client, basically what's going to happen is the directory is sending a certificate over, and your client you have to actually physically look at the certificate, verify that it is the directory that you're getting it from, say that you confirm that you trust the certificate and you trust the server, and once you check that, you can continue to log in, and the certificate is stored on your machine at that point, and it's just a one step that you have to do from the first time. Unless, of course, the certificate gets wiped out or the machine needs to get reinstalled, something like that. But that's basically what you have to do from a client side. It's really not a lot of extra effort from here. And if you're doing any expansion servers, you're going to see the same thing in the server admin, where the directory is sending the certificate over to the expansion server, and from the expansion server, it has to say whether it trusts that connection. And once you choose to accept the certificate, then you're going to have the connections between the directory and the expansion servers. Now, from the actual, once you have this enabled, you do have to set up the certificate. By default, we do include a self-signed certificate, but you can, of course, get something from a third-party certificate authority as well, and put that on your directory server. Once you load that in Windows, and you're going to see that show up in the list. Again, we get to there from the server admin, you're going to see a new section called Secure Communication, or updated section, sorry. And from here, you just choose to select the certificate that you want to use. Now, one other thing to note here is we've got a checkbox for Allow Connection to Previous Versions. So if that's unchecked, that means we won't have any backwards compatibility going on. So that's something else you can use to really tie down your system there. Now the next major thing that they've added is something called Secure Token Services support. So basically what this means is you're decoupling your authorization to access the system from Security Center itself. So basically an STS is somebody who's going to verify that somebody is able to access the system. What we're doing here, we're still really using like a username and password configuration, but it's not to give it more security, but it's basically more flexible. So you could have people from outside your system, if you need them to access your Security Center system, if you're going through an STS, it makes that process a lot easier, and you don't have to open up your whole security system to them, kind of thing. So that's a nice new addition. Currently the one we're supporting is ADFS, which is the Active Directory Federation service from Microsoft. So basically what's happening is, let's say we have the client application here, and we have our user down here, and here's our secure token service. So what happens is the user reaches out to log in, and the application says, well, you need to get a token, and the information is redirected over to the secure token service. It verifies the user. Are they allowed to log in? Yes. It gives them back a token, and then the user uses that token to actually log into the application. So at this point, if you have this turned on, basically it's not looking for that username password anymore. It's looking for a token to be used by Security Center. So there is an internal STS running as well to verify those tokens. Just to give you a little heads up on some information here, the internal server communication, this uses port 5500, but reaching out to the ADFS, that's going to use a secure port of 443. Now in terms of setting up our third-party STS support, so the Active Directory Federation services, we do have a new role for that. Now this is pretty detailed, so I just cut it down to the basic steps here. And what you're doing is you're adding a new role from your system task, and you're choosing Active Directory Federation Service. And once you define all the information in your Windows Server Manager to connect to the ADFS, then you can set up your Security Center role. And then from there, basically, we're setting up trusted user groups in the user management section. So that's how it knows who should be coming from the ADFS and where they can reach out to actually get that information too. So like I said, there's a lot of setup there. We do have a lot of detailed guides on this in the technical information section of the technical assistance portal. So you can take a look at that there if you want to look at that now. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to be going over this in April as well. Now the last security topic I wanted to talk about real quick is archiver stream encryption, which may also hear called Fusion Stream. And basically what that's doing is any information that's coming in from the camera, so not just video, but this can also be metadata and audio as well. Each one of those streams gets encrypted, and basically it's like double encryption. So the stream itself is encrypted with a key, and then the key that's used for that stream, which changes every 60 seconds, that gets encrypted as well, and that gets sent both separately to the client. And again, here we're using certificates as well to verify the information. And then at the end, the client is the only one that has the certificate that can actually decrypt the data that's coming from the archiver. So as soon as that stream hits the archiver, the first thing it does is it encrypts it, which means that anybody who gets in on your archiver server, they still can't access that video if they don't have that, that certificate that the client machines have. So that's something that's it's good for if you have a person on the outside that's trying to view a particular video stream. So you can encrypt that, you can give them a certificate for it. This can be done on an archiver level, so all cameras on an archiver, or you can actually do it individually on a per camera basis too. By default it's turned off. This is one of those scenarios where you really would want to verify that this is something that you need to set up, since there are some configuration steps required, and of course some certificates that are needed too. In terms of the configuration, for the archiver, you can just take a look under the advanced settings, or for the camera as well, for either one, and you can just turn the encryption on to be able to enable that. And then you just need to choose the certificate that you have loaded from your Windows certificate management. So there's a little bit that needs to be done there too. Now just taking a general overall look at things, and the three main concepts that I just talked about. So here we can see our TLS protocol that's being used between servers, and it's also being used between clients. We can use our claim-based authentication. So we have our STS server out here, and that's being used by our client here for authentication. And of course, the third thing we were talking about just now was the stream encryption, the archiver stream encryption, where the video comes in from the camera, gets encrypted, and then get passed along the network to the clients there. So I thought that was a nice little wrap-up slide from our marketing and development team that put that together. Okay, so looking at the archiver, there's been a change to the video quality setting here. So you can see that here when we go into our archiver, we take a look in the camera default settings tab, and under video quality we now have basically 4 general settings that we can set it to. So it's high, standard, low, or we can use whatever default the manufacturer has on the camera itself. So this is good if you have an archiver and you have a mix of cameras and you know you want them to be within a certain range. Like for standard here, it'd be between 320 and 240 and 1280 by 720. So yeah, you could just select that right from here, and basically your cameras will try to attain whatever you set it to. Now, of course, if you have an older camera and you set this to high, and the most it can go to is 640 by 480, it's not going to flip out. It's just going to basically go as high as it can to try to reach that level, and adapt to whatever you have it set there. So you don't have to worry about anything there that's not compatible with the current camera. It is smart about it, and it will try to reach whatever you need. Next, I want to talk about the audit and activity trail enhancements. So the main thing here is basically the information that we're presenting. I just put some quick examples here for the core platform, the video, and the access control sections of information that's been enhanced for these particular entity types. But there really has been a lot done. I could show pages of it here. So just to give you a couple examples from the audit trail, we can see that for entity user 1, we can see that the privilege value for the export video was changed from granted to denied. Now, previously we might see something like, it was changed, but we won't actually see what it was changed from and to. So a lot of effort has been put here to try to get more information to you to see what's going on in your system and what the users are doing. So another example here, we have our camera, and on the always schedule for the video quality, the resolution, we can see the change was made there. So again, not just, hey, something changed, it's really giving you a lot of details here. Going on to the activity trails, the new enhancement there is we can actually track any user logon failures. This is under the general section, and I believe most of them are off by default. So go into the system task, go in your general settings, look under activity trails, and then expand general, and you're going to have to check the user logon failed. Now, of course, this does store things in your database, so you don't want to go crazy in here. But when you run the activity trails report, once again, you can choose the general category, user logon failed. And I've got some examples down here of 3 basic scenarios, one that's repeated twice here. So in this first step here, we can see that the initiator, the user, is me, Derek S., and the user logon failed, and it gave me the reason, insufficient privilege. So basically what that's saying is I'm trying to get into a client application that I don't have the rights to. So maybe I'm trying to get into the config tool, and I have the config tool application privilege set to denied for my particular user. The next 2 here, we do recognize the users that are trying to log in, but we're getting invalid credential messages, which basically means that there's something wrong with the password. And our last one down here, it's another invalid credential, but it doesn't even know who the user is. So that means we know there's a problem with the actual username itself. and it's going to tell us what we tried. And of course I was incredibly inventive there and used ASDF. And I can see from here, it's good to see if anybody's trying to do a blunt force attack on a particular workstation and just trying a bunch of usernames. So that's something that's really nice to see in the activity trails. Moving on to our new encoding and decoding support. It's H.265. Otherwise known as HEVC, which is high efficiency video coding. And basically this is better compression than H.264, but of course we all know with more compression it's going to take a little bit more resources. So we do need more CPU for the encoding and decoding of the video streams. If you're taking a look in the stream information, you're going to see this show up as HEVC as the codec. And that'll only show up if it is supported for that unit. And in terms of GPU decoding, it is supported right now on the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950 and 960 video cards. Of course, if you don't have that video card, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to use H.265. It's just going to be the CPU doing the encoding and decoding for you. This is something that we've just got a few cameras, I think, right now that are supporting these, but of course this is going to take off, and we're going to see this in a lot more newer models of cameras. So we really wanted to get on board as soon as possible with this. Speaking of GPU decoding, there's a new video benchmark utility. So what you're going to see as soon as you load up your security desk in your notification tray, if you take a look at the performance section, you see this little exclamation point, and it wants you to run the optimization. So basically what you're doing here, you can bring up the hardware information by double clicking on this, and then go down here and you can run the benchmark. It's going to pop up a little window like this. Just make sure you don't have anything else running at the same time that's going to take up GPU resources. Otherwise, it's not going to really give you a fair estimate and a good benchmark number. So what this is really used for is so you can sort of compare the power of two different workstations. So you run the benchmark test. It's going to give you a frame rate rating here for the video card that's on there. And basically you can just go run that on several workstations, so if you need to know which one you can throw a bit more on, you can use this for that purpose. It really doesn't take a long time to run either, so you're not going to get stuck there for a while. If you do make a software upgrade or you do change the video card hardware, it will probably ask you to run this again, so that's just a heads up on that. I just saw a question on the GTX cards, and I just wanted to give a heads up. I know we mentioned the 970 in some of our documentation, but taking a look around, I believe that the 970 only has partial H.265 capabilities. So really you need to check with NVIDIA or whoever the card manufacturer is to see if it fully supports both encoding and decoding. There's some cards that only do one or the other. Like I said, the 970, we referenced that because it is a very powerful card. It's a beast of a card, but it only does partial H.265, so that's something to bear in mind there. Okay, moving on to another security desk feature. It's video prefetching and decoding. So what this is being used by is when you're doing visual tracking and when you're doing automatic stream selection in your security desk. So when you turn on visual tracking, you can see we've got 3 areas defined here. And what this is basically doing is we have these 3 areas associated with other cameras. So I can either see what's happening in that particular camera right from this tile, or I can click on it to switch to it, to actually, like if I'm following somebody through an airport or something like that, and I know he's walked out of this particular hallway, I can have an area link to the camera that's viewing what's next to that hallway. So you can even place these in different geographic locations relevant to where the cameras are. Now, what you might see before is if especially if it's a larger resolution camera, you might hover over this and it might go through that buffering thing a little bit. And if you're trying to track somebody, that can be a bit of a pain because you're like, well, I really need to see this guy, right? So what this does is it actually looks at what cameras are being used and it starts pulling some video for those. So as soon as you hover over here, you're going to see the video come up in just a second. It's really quick. I'm super impressed by this. And it makes it switching to that camera a lot easier too. And of course it's used by the automatic stream usage as well. So if you have a whole bunch of tiles and they're all using the low resolution stream, it's going to keep the live stream in mind as well, so that of course if you want to blow up one of those tiles and see what's going on, you're not waiting on the stream to buffer and load up there, and that's going to come up a lot quicker too. So it really makes things a lot snappier. It's a lot nicer to use. Alright, let's take a look at a couple of new alarm features. Now, the first one, I can already hear the Omnicast standalone product people cheering right now. The first one is where you can actually arm tiles in your monitoring task. So what we used to have, or what we have in Omnicast, I should say, is you can take selected tiles and say those ones are priorities for alarms. You can still use them for video, but if an alarm comes in, it pops it up right there in that tile in the live viewer. So you could really have a good mix of tiles being used for just video viewing and tiles used for alarms, all on the same screen. And this was something that we had been missing from Security Center. So they added that in this version, and there's 3 ways you can actually arm a tile. You can either do it from the tile menu, so you just click on the tile number, go into monitoring, and choose monitor alarms. You can just select a tile and hold Alt and hit A, and that'll activate it as well. And you can also do it from the monitoring button on the bottom of the security desk. So you can turn it off for all tiles, you can turn it on for all tiles, or you can say specific ones. Now, taking a look at the actual tab itself, you do have a visual notification here as well. So in the tile number, if it's a red tab, we are displaying alarms. If it's a blue tab, in this case we have the blue behind it, so we know we're also displaying events. So if a door forced event comes in and we've got that, we've got a camera associated to that door, that can still pop up in this tile too. And of course, if it's a black or a gray tab, that means there's no monitoring being done on that tile whatsoever. Now, another thing that we added to 5.4 for alarms is we can now have it pop up from the notification tray. Just to clarify this, this will only happen if you don't have any tiles armed. So armed tiles do take priority. If you want to use the pop-up, what I would do is go into the monitoring button on the bottom and turn off alarm monitoring for all tiles. And this is on a in your security desk under the options. You configure that in the alarm section here. So you can say display in, and you have pop-up selected. And what happens is when you get an alarm that comes in, you'll see the alarm on the notification tray here. You just click on it and you get this pop-up window, and you can see what the alarm, the camera that the alarm is associated with. And of course you have all your options here as well. So if you want to forward the alarm, if you want to acknowledge it, you can do whatever you need to from here, which is really a nice, quick, and easy way to do this. Oh, I just want to mention, for the previous one, if you have an active alarm and you actually arm a tile, it's going to automatically pop that alarm into the tile. So it's not going to wait for a new alarm to come in, it's going to do it right away. So you may have one in here and you're like, oh, that looks important, I want to take a closer look at it. Just go ahead and arm the tile and boom, that alarm's going to pop into it. So that's a pretty a nice new feature there. And the last thing I want to talk about with alarms is a new display mode. It's called Picture-in-Picture. and as it implies, there is a picture with another picture. And basically what we're doing is any alarm where we have cameras that we want to view multiple sources. So under the alarm we have the video display options, and usually we can put like live or playback or still frames or whatever, but we do have the options for live and playback and live and still frames. So that's multiple sources. If you do have that selected, you can go into the options here, and then you can say which one you want to be in your picture-in-picture, or you could have this turned off as well. That's where you turn that off from. And of course where you want the picture-in-picture window to pop up. So right now I have it in the top right, so when the alarm comes in, I'm going to see my playback video here and my live video here. I can switch between the two if I want to. I can drag this window around and relocate it within the tile, and I can even grab the corners and I can resize it too. So it's really flexible, really nice thing to use. The only thing to bear in mind is, of course, these are two video streams, so it does require an additional decoder for that. So there's going to be a little bit extra strain on the system when it's doing that, but not too much. So that's nice there. Okay, another couple of few things to go through here. One of the things that's kind of nice if you're using hot actions is we can now pin them to the side of the security desk. So if you're going to be using them very frequently, going in here, clicking on the hot actions from the notification tray, going down, choosing it, executing it, go back up, pick it again, that might be a bit of a pain. So what we can do here is once we pull up the hot actions, just click on the pin button here, very standard pin icon, and that's going to dock it on the side of the security desk. If you want to undock it, we've got the button here, but this makes editing and executing your hot actions a lot simpler, and it's really good if you're using those quite frequently. Alright, so I mentioned there were just a couple of synergist enhancements, so I just want to touch on those real quick. As I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of the new features are going into the Softwire software, so there aren't a lot in the core here. The first one is that the Access Manager now supports up to 1,024 readers per server. Of course, this is hardware dependent. It really depends on the server that the Access Manager is running on. So if you don't have the hardware that's the most top-of-the-line hardware, you may not reach this 1024 readers, but it is capable of doing that now. And the other thing that they worked on is the connectivity between the Access Manager and any HID hardware you have. So basically it's a lot more solid and it's a lot less prone to any kind of network issues that happen, particularly during synchronization. Alright, I got two quick things for AutoView just to point out here. The first thing that's kind of nice is a change to the unit replacement tool. So if you have fixed Sharp cameras, you can now do the unit replacement, and basically you can maintain all that information you had from your previous Sharp, your offline Sharp here. So basically if you have to replace the hardware, you're not going to be losing all those reads and hits and all the good history you have from that Sharp unit if it's in the same location. So then you can just do the unit replacement tool, choose LPR units, and that'll move all that over. And the last topic today, also on ALPR, is a new function for fixed cameras that when you see a plate read in a tile, if you can visually see that that's not accurate, you can actually now go in and modify that information. There's going to be a modify button right in the tile. You click on it, and from here you can do a visual verification using the plate that was read or the context image, of course. And you can type in a new plate number or a new state as well. So this is something that we were able to do for the patroller before, and now we've got that functionality available for the fixed Sharp cameras as well. Okay, so that's it for the webinar for today. What we're going to do is we're going to leave the session open for about another 10 minutes and take a look at the questions for you. If we're not answering you right away, we're probably just typing something in, and so just bear with us. If there's anything we can't get to, if you have to leave now, don't worry about it. We're going to get you an answer, and we're going to send you an email with it too. So like I said, this will be about 10 minutes. If you have to leave before that, I'd like to just thank you very much for attending the webinar today. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you at our future Genetec Tech Talk webinars. As I mentioned, we are going to have Plan Manager next month, and we're going to be talking more about those security features in April. So thanks again on behalf of myself and HIBA and the Technical Training and the Genetec Technical Assistance Center, and we hope you all have a great day. Thank you.